And we are live. Welcome to Noel and Odechi Unfiltered. My name is Noel, here with my co-host. Odechi. She's the one in the background right there with the hat on. And I'm trying to bring in a new show, right? Bring you guys news as to what's going on in politics. Now, my host is not yet ready to come in and sit next to me to speak into the camera. So it's a goal in life. Because that's how life is. You gotta set goals for yourself and move forward. So right now it's just gonna be me talking into the camera, and hopefully she'll one day come here. That's one of the goals of the channel, to get Odechi. Now Odechi is a former model, right? Who is a little bit older and just doesn't do modeling anymore. It is what it is, but she is here present with us. Now, in this show, let's take a look at President Trump at the White House, talking to reporters about what's going on with Putin in South Africa. Well, it's Africa. I don't know if it's South Africa. Or the war that he's stopping across the world, and things that need to be celebrated that the mainstream media doesn't celebrate or don't even want to talk about. So somebody got to talk about it. In this channel, we're going to talk about everything that's going on in the world. So what everything Trump is doing right now, that's mainstream social media, because the fake news doesn't want to talk about it. So social media does all the talking. And let's make it happen. But like I said, welcome to my channel. My name is Noel, here with Odechi. Go ahead and give this video a like, and let's try to motivate her to come in and join us in celebrating the great days. Happy Tuesday. What's today? Tuesday? Yes. Happy Tuesday. It's 1 o'clock. And así con la mano. I'm trying to get her to wave. Saluda con la mano. Well, at least she looked in this direction. So it's nice that she actually turns around when I say her name. So shout out to Odechi. This is Noel and Odechi Unfiltered. All right, let's take a look at Donald Trump. I'll pause it every now and then and give you guys my commentary.
And those countries, those European countries, and I said, look, we have an ocean. It's not fair that we did, because under the Biden administration, we paid about 3.5 times more than they did. We were in for $350 billion.
Let me say this much. It's nice to have a businessman running the White House. Finally, not a politician looking to fatten their pocket, not a politician that just want to make money off the government. We actually have a billionaire, a businessman making deals with the rest of the world that actually help America. It only makes sense that we are the final beneficiaries of the deals, that we are the ones making money, making jobs, making everything to make this country great again. It's insane. I can't believe it's working, but he's doing it, making deals that work for Americans. Comment down below, what do you think about it? I think it's excellent, man. I'm super happy. Hopefully groceries will be cheaper, gas will be cheaper, life will be better.
Got nothing for it. We were in for 350 and they were in for 100. So which really meant one thing, because you have great business leaders here. It meant very simply that they were better negotiators than our president was. But so this is a very important thing. And hopefully that will come to an end at the end of 50 days. If we don't have a deal, then we're going to have to we have no choice but to do secondary tariffs. You call it secondary.
You hear that? He makes deadline that he imposes on the deals for them to come through. Like, you guys better do something. You got 50 days to make it happen, to work with us. Otherwise, you get the worst of the worst when it comes to trade options.
Tariffs, which are pretty tough, which we don't want to have to do. But let's see what happens. But we thought we had a deal. Numerous times I'd get home, I'd say, First Lady, I had the most wonderful talk with Vladimir. I think we're finished. And then I'll turn on the television, or she'll say to me one time, wow, that's strange, because they just bombed a nursing home. I said, what? So we don't like that. But I want to thank you all for being here and welcome.
Let me just say, it's nice to have a president who is so honest with the media. Like, we all know politicians are used to just straight up lying to people, calling us stupid. Because somebody gives you like a dumb lie that makes no sense, that's basically disrespecting us. Like, we don't believe you. And what you just said is stupid. Whereas Trump just comes out and he talks like a normal human being, right? He's trying to negotiate with Putin, and Putin is backstabbing him, still blowing up places in Ukraine, not following through with his words. So the president is pointing it out. I think eventually, definitely going to see a deal come through with Putin, where Putin and Ukraine, or Russia and Ukraine, are going to come to peace. I could feel it. It's going to happen.
Welcome to the first ever White House Summit of Faith and Business Leaders. You're really some of the greatest business leaders in the country. When I looked at some of the names, I said, whoa, that's big stuff we have here today. In fact, before I was president, I would have been very intimidated, but now I'm president, so I don't have to be. But today we celebrate the core values that built this country: freedom, hard work, risk-taking, and above all, trust in Almighty God. You're very much into God in this room, and that's very nice. You're business leaders who believe strongly. We have some business leaders that don't believe strongly, and somehow you and I don't like them as much. But I want to thank Pastor Paula White. She's been my friend for a long time. And John for convening this incredible group. Her husband's one of the most talented musicians in the world. Stand up, John. Stand up. Okay?
That's one of the things that Trump has. He knows how to compliment people, and it's all business, right? He knows how to do it to get on people's right side, because right now he's in the middle of negotiations, and he doesn't want you as an enemy when he's negotiating, looking for the best deal possible. And it's nice that he uses that strategy in public in front of all of us. It's like a learning lesson. Hey, everybody, let's learn from this. You're negotiating with somebody, learn how to compliment them. Let them know how great they are.
I stole a couple of his songs for the rallies, and he never sued me, so I was very happy. But we all come from the same place, right? So it was great, and we appreciate it, John. Thanks as well to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who's doing a fantastic job. Yep. He goes on television and he calms the market. I go on television, I rile the market, and I say, we better send him in there, Howard, right? And the market's become so calm and nice. So you're doing a good job, Scott. Thank you very much. You make any deals today? We got a lot of them, boy, I tell you, we have. But the best deal is just sending out the paper. They keep saying, well, he hasn't made the deal. Well, we made a number of deals, but why isn't he doing deals? Because the paper is better than any deal we can make. Do you understand? The people in this, Kevin, they asked you that question this morning. You were great this morning, but they said, well, when is he going to start making deals? The next time we could say, just no, every time he sends out a document that you have to pay 35% or 25% or 50%. Or in one case, 100%. Those deals, you can't beat those deals, but we're still willing to talk. And they all, literally every country wants to make a deal. We're in a good position. You would call it a position of strength. I don't talk that way because I'm a politician now, unfortunately. And I don't want to talk about strength. I just want to say we have to be treated fairly, because we were ripped off on trade and the military for,
Fairly is the right word. I swear that Trump goes backstage. He has all the words studied, everything that you got to say when you're looking into a camera, and he makes use of everything that he got. Amazing.
Protected other nations. Nobody paid us. Nobody did anything for us. Nobody helped us. And that's much different. NATO is a much different situation now. When I got in, I believe we were paying for 100% of NATO. And now they're paying, they went from 2%, but they were paying 1% to 5% that they're paying. That's a big difference. It's about $1 trillion difference. And they're wealthy, for the most part, wealthy countries. And some of them they're among the most powerful, among the wealthiest countries in the world. So they're going to start paying, and they want to pay. And We had a great meeting about 1 month ago. That set the stage for what happened here, but it's very important. So I want to thank Scott for being here. I want to thank Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick.
Howard Lutnick.
You are doing a good job. Am I right when I?
Like I said, they got to give a class in college how to compliment people. What's the point? Is there a point to complimenting people? It's gassing their heads up. I mean, they don't talk about this enough. How is it that Trump is able to negotiate all these crazy deals and get things done? Like one day he will compliment you, the next day he'll put you down if you get on his bad side. So all of this, amazing. Look at that. The people on his team getting compliments. Man, we need compliments every now and then.
I say I really don't want deals. I just want the paper to get sent. Right? It's true. I can't. I don't know if this is on television. Yeah, it's always on television.
Always on television. Everything you do is on television. And you know what? With this narrative of compliments, let me say this much. You are great. You watching this TV show, hey, you put yourself out there. Thank you. All right? Compliment yourself for doing amazing. And here I am with Odechi. She's still sitting next to me. Here, let me see if I could show her. My co-host, Odechi. So once I get her to come in here and sit, look into the camera, it's going to be golden age. But you know what I got? Hope. That's all you need in life. A little bit of hope, consistency, and hard work. The fact that we're doing this show, it's a lot of work. And let's sprinkle in some hope and get her to come and join us. But let's keep learning from the master here, Trump. What other compliments he got? Check it out.
SBA administrator and a great person, cabinet member, a friend of mine for a long time, Kelly Loeffler. Kelly, you're doing great. She's small business, right? She only does small business, but when you add it all up, it's the biggest bank in the world by a factor of about 10, right? She's doing a great job. And director of the White House Faith Office, Jenny Korn, who's also amazing. Thanks, Jenny.
You know what's funny? He's going to compliment a lot of people. And maybe on this reel, we'll see how he takes down Powell. Like disrespects Powell. Instead of firing the guy, just adding pressure. How Powell is just messing up Trump's game plan and keep it interest rate high. If you don't know, Powell is the Fed's treasurer, the guy who's keeping the inflation numbers high or the interest rate high, which in return keeps inflation high. And all he got to do is say, okay, we're going to bring down interest rate by a point. But he's failing to do it. Trump needs him to do it. Let's see.
From the earliest days of our republic, the steady compass of faith has guided the strong hands of American workers, builders, and entrepreneurs like really no other. Our country was founded by pilgrims and believers, and every generation since, Americans of faith have built our communities and forged new industries and enriched our country by millions and millions of people and ways. John D. Rockefeller, J.C. Penney, Charles Goodyear, Truett Cathy, and frankly, we have people I could name right in this room sitting here that their names are every bit as big as that. They were inspired by their love of God, and now the proud tradition continues with all of you. And this group reminds us, as a nation that prays is a nation that prospers. And you see that I think one of the reasons we went so bad is they really wanted to take God and religion out of your lives. And there was nobody to, look up to. There was just nobody. It was, we were freewheeling, and we can't freewheel now.
See that? Even the idea of God, Trump knows how to use it respectfully. Because you know how hard it is to talk about religion? Everybody got their own point of view, but you got to make a general statement about religion and God. Something that works with everyone, that is more universal than picking a specific religion. Whoever wrote that, whatever he's reading, is a genius. Well, I'm pretty sure he got his right-hand man doing it.
We have to bring religion back into the country, and we're starting to do that, I think, at a very high level Paula, a very, very high level. You see churches are starting to fill up again.
And we need religion, man. People gotta spend their time doing something. Like in your whole day, 24 hours, your mind is everywhere. Your job, your family, the rent, the bills, and a little bit of space for religion. Everybody gets a little piece of you mentally.
Under the Trump administration, America is prospering and America is winning like never before. Our country is back. So I was in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and then a month ago we were in Europe with all of the NATO countries, European countries, and plus Canada. And almost everyone said almost the exact same words. They said, 1 year ago, your country was dead. Terrible term, but that's what it is. Your country was dead. We thought it was finished. And now you've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's true. Is the hottest country. Did you see they found $25 billion of essentially profits last night? They said, where did it come from? It came from management, but it came from tariffs.
The Trump golden age, something that people hate to hear. But listen up, we are going into the Trump golden age, whether you admit it or not. And as a matter of fact, fake news got to say it. So then people start listening. And that's how it works. Messaging from top down. Everybody got to get in contact with or in concert with this and agree to the fact that we're going into the golden age, all right? Nothing but good time. Look at the money that Trump is bringing in for the country, making sure that the business, the United States business is doing great.
And it came from, good business skill. And I've always made money. Now I'm making it for you people. I've had good days and bad days, but
I think we always want the people at the top, the 1%er, to share wealth. All right, share that wealth. Help the little people. Help us regular people that haven't figured out how to make millions or billions like you. Man, Trump is on another level helping everybody.
In good days or bad days, I always found a way to make money, and we have to do that for our country. But and we did 188 billion in Scott just now, 188 billion in tariffs, 188, and we haven't even started yet. That's only for cars and steel. We actually have barely started. The economy is roaring, business confidence is soaring, incomes are up, prices are down, and inflation is dead. It's dead. We have a bad Fed chairman, really bad. If he would lower the rates, and I tried being nice to the guy, it doesn't help. He's like a knucklehead. No, he's a knucklehead.
You know what's crazy? That Trump appointed the guy to that position, but it was in his first term, and we all know that he appointed a bunch of left-wing nuts, Democrats, who weren't really on his side, who just pretended that they were on his side during the job interview just to get the job. You know how that is. You lie your way into a job. And then once Trump realized, this guy's a maniac, we got to get him out. A lot of government jobs go by tenure, where they get a certain number of years. And now everybody's waiting for May 2026, when Powell is supposed to step down. And hopefully with all these disrespect that Trump is doing, making fun of him, hopefully the guy just says, you know what? I don't want to be here no more and quits. Let's see if it happens.
Stupid guy. He really is. Each point, think of this, each point costs us $360 billion. Billion. 1 point.
Yo, that's so cool how he just breaks down the complicated ideas to simple math. Just 1 point. Look at the damage this guy is doing. All he got to do is lower the interest rate by a point, maybe even 2. And America will be even better than it is now. I mean, I wholeheartedly believe it, man. We don't need to go to college and study economics and all of that. Just listen to Trump making sense.
Point, 360 billion. 2 points, you got 600, 700 billion dollars. And we're way high. We're at 450 or 425, 450. And how do you go borrow money at 1% when the Fed has you at 450? And, it's not that easy. I get angry at them. Why are we paying so much? Because he's got you up at this number. And we we should always be the lowest. Now that we're doing great.
And you know what? It's crazy how one man has this much control. Like private companies are all about profits and making money, but like a government job is about power, right? The decision makers, the people who let the entire country know the rules and what rules are we using to play in this country. And now we got one man Powell, who I think is probably making a whole lot of money on the side because refusing to step down, keeping interest rate high, well, he could just jump on the Trump bandwagon and everybody will be happy. Trump will be talking positive about him. And hey, share the wealth. We all be benefiting from the interest rate. Because, by the way, I bought this house at 3.8% during the last Trump administration when he brought down interest rate. Right now, interest rate is like 7%. Insane. I don't even have enough money to buy something at 7%. So that's crazy. But let's listen, him disrespect Powell the right way.
We have no inflation. Think of it. Our stock market hit record highs. Everything's hitting a record high. We're really running good with no inflation. And we should be at 1%. We should be less than 1%. I think Switzerland is the lowest at like 0.5%. We should be lower because without us, there's no world. I don't want to sound overly aggressive, but without us, you have no world.
Yeah.
And we've put our country on solid footing. We had a man as president who was the worst administration, worst president in the history of our country. We've had some bad ones, but he's the worst ever. What he did at our border can never be forgotten. 25 million people allowed to pour into our country, all unchecked, unvetted, murderers, gang leaders, gangsters, people that you don't want in our country under any.
And this is information that you don't hear in the fake news. All you hear is complaints that Trump is doing his job of deporting all these criminals that are coming into this country. How are you trying to protect? So it makes you think, man, there's some people at the top that want all these illegal migrants coming in so they could hire them at low wages and exploit people that don't have papers and they don't have to work on the minimum wage. And also you get more voters, right? The Democrats are trying to bring in these illegal people, just destroying the country, man. And it's a message that Trump brings out on every freaking news conference. He points it out every single time, over and over again. But not once does it get played on mainstream media. That lets you know, man, forget the mainstream narrative. All right? It's chaotic and it's calling us stupid. We should be okay with illegal migrants. No. That's the real narrative. No. Don't want to be okay with illegals breaking the law. But I'm not allowed to break the law. Get out of here.
The means terrorists. We have many terrorists in our country, and we're watching them close. Tom Homan, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job. Kristi Noem is doing a phenomenal job. We had last week, it was reported, nobody, not one, even I don't know if I believe that number, but it's done, the numbers are done by liberals. So they said, did you know that? They said we had nobody, zero, crossed our border. It's the first time that ever happened. Zero. Did you hear that? It's like crazy. But we have people from mental institutions, insane asylums even. That's a mental institution on steroids, essentially. But we had people coming into our country. We can't have them. And we have to get them out. But we can never forgive this administration, this past. And I'm okay with administrations. I mean, I can go through a Democrat administration, say, hey, look, they worked hard, they tried hard. But the things that they did to this country, we can never, ever forget it. From the rigged elections to the border, to the transgender for everybody.
That's when the fake news cuts away and does not allow Trump to continue speaking. They're a bunch of haters. All right, this is the president, man. We don't want all this transgender nonsense, all these crazy ideas that, you know why they spit it out? The people listening believe it. And then the extreme left wing part of the country, agreeing with the mainstream media, try to make it chaotic in community that doesn't affect them personally, right? Because they don't have to deal with the illegal migrants. I grew up in the hood. I had to deal with all these maniacs. Now I gotta walk around in fear in Harlem that somebody might just see me as a potential target. Let's rob this man instead of getting a job. How about that? We the Democratic narrative is just failing. It's a failing narrative. We need to start working against it and away from it. By the way, let's keep listening. Give it a thumbs up before you go anywhere. Let's go.
From men playing in women's sport. You ever take a look at some of these records? There was a long distance race, a marathon, where they had a great female runner, a number of them, but they had one in particular. And they had just an average male runner who had transitioned. He won the race at the end of the day by 5 hours and 14 minutes.
An average.
They waited for 5 hours. The weightlifting records are better, though. The weightlifting records are better. You know, the way they took a record that hasn't been broken for 18 years. 18 years. And, you know, they'd add a quarter of an ounce on each side of the barbell. And they're just a little tiny piece of stuff. She'd go up and she could get it up. And this guy comes along. Have you lifted before? Yes, at a low level. He was a low level lifter as a man, but transitioned. And he goes up to that thing. Bing, 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 bing. Could have done it all day long. Broke the record by 119 pounds. The whole thing is crazy.
Yeah, I want to see LeBron James join the WNBA. The man will break every record on there because seeing them play is like watching high school kids who are learning how to play, like a JV team playing at a professional level, basically. So, and actually, I want you to also see a woman transition to a man and then dominate a male sport. How about that? Like, you're never going to see that much.
The swimming records are pretty good too. You got to see that. I told the story. You had this great group of young ladies, and they grew up with each other because, you know, they sort of swam at the top level. And they were swimming, and one girl was seriously injured. She looked left, and she saw the same girl she grew up with, Kelly, in California. Same girls, you know, that young age, they sort of rise to the top. She looked to the right, she saw the same girls, but there was this giant standing right next to her. And he had transitioned. You probably heard this. He had transitioned. And she'd never seen her before. And when the race was started, he blew by her so fast that she suffered massive windburn. They had to take her.
And this is being honest about men. When it comes to physical competition, man, you can't hide it. You can't say, well, that'll be talking bad about women. No, that's being honest as to the level of competition, what separates men from women, right? Men are on another level. So that guy won a whole bunch of swimming competition, pretending to be a woman. And it's like, I can't believe they allowed that to happen. Insane. And now look at Trump making fun of him. Calling it her, right? Is it her or him? Let's be honest, just call it him.
And he got out of the race and he had a little lunch. And then he came back and watched the rest of the young ladies finish up. The whole thing is crazy. And it's so demeaning to women. It's so demeaning to women. But it is what it is. But what they did to this country, and we ended all of that, as you probably know. We ended the woke. The woke stuff is no longer in favor. But we're doing fantastically. Wages for blue-collar workers have surged by the most in over 60 years. Gas prices have reached the lowest level in 5 decades. Actually, we're going to see some really good numbers. Drill, baby, drill. I got to make sure that people can afford to produce the gas. But the gas has gone to the lowest level in decades, and you're seeing $1.99, $1.98, and I saw $1.95 at certain states, not California, because every time it goes down, they add taxes onto you. You're at $6, $7. They just add taxes. All they do is they keep adding taxes. Terrible governor, doesn't know what he's doing. He may be a candidate, but if you go by success, you can't have him be a candidate.
Calling him new scum. As a matter of fact, new scum is upset that that's the name Trump uses for him, allegedly. But yeah, California's on another level. I think a lot of Democrats would like to see the entire country at the same level as California. So while bringing everybody down, instead of asking California to step their game up, how about that? With the rest of the country that has more people making sense, common sense.
And on Friday, it was announced that the United States Treasury ran a budget surplus. Is that true, Scott? In June, for the first time in many, many decades. Wow. I didn't know that. That's a good one, too. I'm going to have to put that in my repertoire, Scott. But the biggest victory of all came 10 days ago when I signed the one big, beautiful bill into law. Right? And just as I promised, we did something that was amazing. You know, everybody was against it. I wanted it. I know Scott and Howard liked the idea of it too, but it was very risky because they've never done anything like it in terms of this. It's the biggest bill ever passed of its kind ever passed by far. And they were going to cut it into 2, 3, or even as many as 7 bills. And I said, the problem is that in the one big bill, everybody gets something. When you cut it into 7s, there are 4 or 5 of them or 3 of them, right, Kevin, that you get nothing. All they're going to do is fight it. You'll never get them passed. And so we went with it. I was on a show called Deface the Nation. Have you heard of it? They're so bad. They're so bad. These people.
Trump is the ultimate troll. He knows how to get the room to laugh at what he's saying. Face the Nation TV show is done. I mean, they've been done for a while, but why are my dogs barking? My apologies. By the way, welcome. My name is Noel. I'm here with Odechi. Let me see if I could show the camera. I'll come back to Trump in a minute. I am back with Odechi. This is me, Noel. My co-host Odechi sitting over there. Bringing you the news and bringing you the exciting news that Trump is bringing us into the golden age. Best age ever. Face the Nation, a left-leaning TV show that all they try to do is talk bad about Trump. And here is Trump trolling on them. And you know what's funny? That the Democrats trying to figure out how to do the same thing that Trump is doing. How is it that he's able to troll and get away with it? Like, I think Trump is the only one that can get away with it. Make fun of a TV show, get a laugh, and nobody says, hey, that's not presidential. You got to be a president. Watch your mouth. You're talking too much. You can't be funny. You got to be a serious president like Biden and just walk away. Don't say much. Even though we all know that Biden has mental decline and got away with murder, not talking into the camera, not making jokes. And here is Trump talking about deface the nation.
They're so average. But I was on.
Let me bring back the TV. My apologies. All right, here's Trump making fun of deface the nation. How do I get this to work? My co-host Odechi is going to come on later and say hi.
This show, Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, President Donald J. Trump on Deface the Nation. No, but they're all so bad. But we were on the show, and she said to me a question. She said, what would you call this bill? Would you want to have it called One Big Beautiful, or would you rather see it? I said, what I want is one great, big, beautiful bill. And Speaker Mike Johnson, John Thune, they were watching, and they said, what a great name for the bill. We actually ended up calling it that. We took the great out. I actually liked it even better. One great, big, beautiful. But they said, let's a little bit of a low key. But we got to pass. But we got to pass because there's something for everybody. And there are things that people don't like, but you need them for the country. You know, you have to do some things that are great for the country, but they wouldn't necessarily get the votes. And we got the votes. Think of it, not one Democrat vote. All the goodies that we got, not one Democrat voted in either the Senate or the House. And we're talking about tax cuts and business.
And life is not perfect. He did that negotiation with not getting 100% of what he wants. He understands politics, but getting enough to make it work, to sign it into bill.
I mean, so many different things that are so good, right? Not one Democrat vote went with us, not one. So we had to get almost every, in the House we got 218 to 2. Think of that, 218 to 2. Nobody could do that. It's never been done. And that says, you know, and we have Rand Paul Jr., who's a guy from, we call him Rand Paul Jr. because he always votes no. A guy named Massey always votes no. We had another guy who I helped very, very strongly, helped him with a very personal situation, got him through it. And he voted no. I said, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And then we went to the Senate, and you had, of course, Rand Paul, who always votes no. And they call him Just Say No. I think they think it's, no, I think they and, you know, I got him elected. I had to go to
Just Say No, Rand Paul. That's a nice nickname, yo. I swear to God. Top troll, Trump.
Kentucky twice to do rallies to get him elected twice. But they forget. A lot of politicians forget. Then we had a couple of others. Susan Collins, she's another one. Just Say No. She always brutal. And we had some people. Tillis, I guess, was a no, right? He was a no. And they said he was brave. He said no to the president, but he resigned the following morning. So anyway, that was terrible, I thought. But we couldn't lose more than 3. We had 3 that said no. And so we won that 50 to 3. So it's pretty close.
You see, pros and cons. The man knows how to negotiate for deals. When it comes to political deals, that's crazy that he was able to transfer from doing business deal to doing political deal. You know, Elon Musk wasn't able to transfer. That man just gave up and said, let's do a third party. That is not going to work. Trump explained it to the television, but I don't know, man. Hopefully Elon Musk come back to the Republican Party.
And the senator came over to me and said, I can't believe you won the House. Great guy, this senator, Eric Schmidt, who's doing a great job. He said, I can't believe you won the House. I said, actually, he says, remember 218 to 2. We needed 3, so we could have lost 3. We actually only lost 2. I said, no, actually, the Senate was tougher than the House of the 2. That question is asked to me, who was tougher? I'd say the Senate was tougher, actually, amazingly. It shouldn't have been. We had a slightly bigger margin in the Senate proportionally, but it was brutal. It was, they said, sir, we have 12 hard no's. You know, hard no is not recoverable, right?
Yeah.
This was at 2:30 in the morning. Mike Johnson called up. It could be 20, but it's at least 12. So could you call them, sir? And I said, what time? I said, 2:30 in the morning. And we have to win, right? We can never give up. The people in this room, right? You never gave up. Mike support.
And that's the trick. Man, this is a life lesson people gotta freaking pay attention to. You just don't give up. Here I am running a YouTube channel with a co-host that right now doesn't want to come in front of the camera, but I'm not giving up. We're going to run a successful YouTube channel. Right now, we got 3 subscribers, but it's okay. We're going to get more. Just asking people to give it a like. Don't give up and keep pushing forward, all right? There's nothing else to do but keep pushing forward.
Order right from day one, and her husband with a bad damn back, right? How's his back? Is he okay? Every time I see him, he's got a bad back, but he's got a lot of cash, so. A lot. He's got a lot of cash. But no, they're great people. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you. You were there right at the beginning, you know, always was there. But we have a situation where we call up these people at 2:30 in the morning, and I called up. I got along with them all great. I liked them, but they're tough. You know, they're congressmen. When you're a congressman for 20 years or you're a senator for years, you're smart. and you're a survivor because you go through all sorts of hell. But I called up Congressman. I said, Jim, hi, Jim, how you doing? And he said, fine, sir. I said, family's good, yeah. He said, sir, you have my vote. I never said what I was calling about. I said, I do, thank you very much. But how do you know what I'm calling you about? Well, I said, sir, I've been your friend for 2.5 years. You've never called me during normal hours. So I assume that if you're calling me at 2:30 in the morning, you're not calling me to ask me, how's the family doing? I said, yeah. So,
The man is a genius, and I love those conversations. If you're calling me because you rarely call, get to the point. See, those are grown men talking. There's no need to hi and butter you up and how's the family. No, get to the point. My man said, yes, I'm going to vote. Oh, man. That's how grown men should be asked. Just get to the point.
pretty good. So I called up everyone. I think everyone, with the exception of one, had to speak a little bit. But I call up, sir, you have my vote. Thank you. Sir, you have my vote. Think of that. And we got 12 votes in a matter of, I called back 20 minutes later. I said, you got all the votes. That's spirit, right? That's spirit. They wanted to maybe hear. They wanted to have a little love. You know, the sad part is that some of the best people are the people that don't get any publicity because they go with something because it's good. So a guy like some of the people I'm talking about, but some of the people where you didn't even have to call, they vote yes, 100%. You don't have to waste any time with them. You don't have to beg them, come on, you can do it, come on, let's have lunch, let's have dinner. And then you have other guys that want you to suffer. I mean, some of these people that I just mentioned, whose names I just mentioned, you got to go through hell. And the ones that are really good and they love the country and they're doing right. I mean, what's the alternative? You know, the alternative here, you're getting the biggest tax cut in history. And with the Democrats, you're going to have the biggest tax increase in history. Now, we could go into 100 other details. They're equally as crazy. So I said, so what's the difference? So you're going to say no, and you're going to have the biggest tax cut in history this way, and you're going to have the biggest tax increase the other way, and you'll probably end up in a depression, because if you ever did that, it would be a shock to the whole world. That's what happened in 1929. I said, so you're going to vote for the other side? Well, sir, I'll do what's really appropriate. You know, the losers. But you have that. Really, they're grandstanders. You know, you have grandstanders, and you have them in every business.
And that's what they need. These politicians need to be called losers. Like, what are you thinking? Are you hearing yourself about to put the country in a depression? Only Trump could pull that off, man. Calling people losers.
The Democrat has far fewer. They're grandstanders. But, you know, the one thing about them, they have bad policy. They're evil people in many ways, but they stick together. You don't have it where you don't have, I don't want to use too many names, but you don't have a Mitt Romney in the midst who makes you suffer. You don't have some of the people that I mentioned who make it so hard. They make it so hard. And the alternative is one of two things. You can either get all these things and make the economy strong, or you're going to literally have perhaps a depression where you people so rich, so beautiful, so nice to look at will be totally busted. And let's see how long your wife stays with you. You're beautiful.
Yo, look at that. Everybody laughing. This man is a genius. Look at him making jokes. Who could do that? This man is not a comedian, but he knows how to throw punches. Because, yeah, the economy crashes, these millionaires, multimillionaires, nothing happens to them. They just say, that looks tough. While everybody else is suffering, the middle class and the lower class are going through hell, having to battle illegal aliens and battle the economy.
She'll stay with you for about 3 weeks and she'll say, darling, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore, darling. I'm leaving you. I said to one guy, he's a very, very unattractive man, but he's smart.
Yeah, that's so funny. Unattractive man. Again, man, pulling no punches, man, just saying it out there. And whoever's hearing it is probably laughing. As a guy, you just laugh at things like that. Like, yeah, you calling me unattractive, but yet I got a beautiful wife. I'm doing good. And that's how it is.
and he's rich. And I said, you better hope we get this thing passed because your wife will be gone within about 2 minutes. He said, you're right. But so we had a tremendous success, and it gives you the biggest.
You know, it's funny because God don't go by beauty or looks, right? They go by pockets and finance. How are you doing? You know, are you making the right moves to put more money in your pocket, to be a little bit stronger, be able to take a hit? Not beautiful. Beautiful. The only beautiful things are women. And oh, by the way, talking about beautiful things, I want to give a shout out to my co-host, Odechi. She took her hat off, looking beautiful. Hopefully, she'll come over here and sit, look into the camera, because that's my co-host. Whether she admits it or not, my name is Noel here at Noelchi. I'm sorry, Noel and Odechi Unfiltered. New channel started. We got 3 subscribers. Go ahead and give this video a like, so like that we could spread it out to more people. And right now, we're listening to the wise words of Donald Trump, talking about an unbeautiful man. And if he doesn't make any money, the wife is going to leave him. So he better keep everything positive, keep making his money.
Tax cut in American history, the largest spending cut in American history, and the largest border security investment of all time. And again, we're doing great on the border. I almost say, why do we need it? We have such good numbers, but you need it. Ultimately, you're going to need it. I built hundreds of miles of border wall. Without that, you could have never had the results that we had. But to lift up the American family, we increased the child tax credit and made school permanent. We made it all permanent, the school choice. And we expanded school choice. And for every newborn child, we created what's called the Trump accounts. And this was Michael Dell. I don't know if Michael Dell's here, but Michael Dell, well, you tell him I mentioned his name, because he would call me for 3-4 years. I didn't know Michael. I just know he's a great success story and a great guy. That's all he told.
That's the guy from Dell Computers. Super duper millionaire, man. He figured out how to sell computers to the masses.
Talked about was the account where you put $1,000 and as a baby is born, $1,000 into an account, and you let it be invested by, I guess you pick out some good money determinant or fund or index. And I guess at a certain age, like when they're 30, goes earlier than that, but when they're 30, they're supposed to have like $75,000. That would have a huge impact on their lives. And it could even be more than that. So that passed. And it's funny, that was one of the easiest things we had to get passed. Can you believe it? I thought so many people loved it. They actually call it the Trump accounts. And I didn't fight for that name, right? I didn't fight for that. I said, that's a very great honor. But Michael Dell was amazing. That's what he said he's going to invest billions of dollars doing it for children. He's going to put a lot of his money into it. But even more importantly than the economic success, we're restoring the spirit of our country. America is once again an optimistic nation. We were so down. It was depressing. We were so down. That's why I ran again. I got cheated. They rigged the election. But I said, if I didn't think I won, I would have never run, because that's like a poll, right? You lose, you lose. It's worse than a poll. But I saw the lack of spirit in this country for 4 years. It was a dark, horrible place. And for people of religion, they were arresting your pastors. They were arresting if you went to church and you had a service outside. And the reason outside, because you had the COVID. And you could go outside. They'd arrest everybody for even having the service. I'll tell you, religion took a big hit because of the way they treated all of us. And we now have a confident nation, an optimistic nation, and we have one nation under God, and we'll always keep that term. And we're bringing back, very importantly, and not just evangelicals or Protestants or all religions, we're bringing them back into our country. As president, I've ended the radical left war on faith, and we're once again protecting religious freedom like never before in our country. We're protecting it like never before. We're getting rid of the Johnson Amendment that didn't let the pastors and ministers and everybody speak about politics. Now you're able to speak about politics, Paula. You can say, I don't like that guy. and they don't take away your tax exempt status. You know, they take away tax exempt. And I'll tell you, remember when that started? It was at the meeting room before I ran, 2015, a year before the election. And I was with 50 faith leaders. They were great, very well-known people, mostly Protestant, but you had rabbis, you had an imam, 2 imams, and we were talking, and I said, I'd love to have your endorsement. And they looked at me like, what? I'd love to have your endorsement. We have such respect for you, and you control are really very powerful. And they looked at me, they didn't say anything. Do you remember that? And I said, what's wrong with these people? I didn't know about the Johnson Amendment. Don't forget, I never did this stuff before. It wasn't like I ran. I was on the other side. I was on the same side as you. You write contributions to people that you like. But I never ran, so I didn't know about the Johnson Amendment. And I called Paula and Jenny aside. I said, could I ask you, when I said I'd want your support, your political support and endorsement, they looked at me very weird. What's going on? Well, sir, there's a thing called the Johnson Amendment. And if they even speak about anything having to do with politics, they will immediately take away their tax exempt status. And if they lose the tax exempt status in your world, that means you might as well close up your church. I said, you got to be kidding. So I can't really. And I told them, we had another meeting a couple of months later. And I said, you people in theory are the most powerful people. You're more powerful than man or woman because we have more than 50. Let's assume men and women are 50-50, but you have 80% between all the different religions. I said, you have more power than anybody, but you're not allowed to use your power. I said, we're going to get rid of that because people want to hear what you have to say more than anybody else, pretty much. And we did get rid of it. And we launched something that's great. And now you see people, if they like somebody, they're able to talk about that.
I hope they give props to Trump now. They could say, thank you, Trump.
That's somebody for office, right, Jenny? We're able to talk about a certain politician that has your values and likes your religion. It's okay. And we got rid of that. Was Lyndon Johnson, a very powerful guy. And he had a problem with a pastor, I think in Houston. And the pastor was not a fan of his, and he put the clamps on the guy. He really did. Amazing, actually. And we opened it up. I looked at him, and we're up 68 stories in the air at Trump Tower, and in this beautiful conference room. I look down, I see people walking up and down the street. He said, that means that person walking up and down the street, any one of them have more power than you do because you're not allowed to even talk about it. You were even afraid to talk about it. But they're not afraid any longer, and I think they appreciate it. As president.
All right, there goes Trump giving credit, shout out to all the religious people who couldn't say anything, and now Trump realized what's going on, why they can't talk. They don't want to lose out on any federal money or tax exemption. So Trump removed that so they could talk and say whatever they want without any fear that they're going to lose any federal fundings. It makes complete sense. I just hope that they can now give him a shout out because it's hard to give Trump a shout out when you got the fake news, live stream media hating on anybody that gives Trump shout out. All right. So you'll be taken down if you even think about doing anything positive for Trump. My dogs are barking.
Have ended the radical left war on faith, and we're once again protecting religious freedom instead of destroying it. And God is once again welcome back into our public square. It's very important.
All right, let me find out what my dogs are barking. I'll be right back. Again, if you're still watching, you're here watching Noel and Odechi. That's Odechi Watching TV. My co-host, who used to be a model, a runway model, looking all good. But now she's busy watching TV, hosting my show. I'll be right back. ¿Por qué ese perro está ladrando? Dios, su madre.
And I stopped the Biden administration's persecutions of Christians and pro-life activists. They would put people in jail if they even uttered the word. And, well, look at me. I mean, look what happened to me. I was under investigation more than the late, great Alphonse Capone. Think of it. Al Capone would kill people for dinner. If he left the room and he didn't like them, he'd have them shot, killed, buried under a building someplace as part of the foundation of a building. They're all over the place. And I said I had more time under investigation than the legendary Alphonse Capone or probably anybody else. I had, but I had a lot of good people with me. And most importantly, I had the base with me at a level that it actually became stronger. The one thing I did that was very helpful, I was indicted 5 times. Think of that. Indicted. That wasn't a word that was in my father's looking down, my mother's looking down. That my son's not supposed to be indicted, I think. I got indicted 5 times, impeached 2 times. All bullshit, right? All terrible stuff. And I got impeached for making a perfect phone call. Good luck. Congratulations. I had a guy come up to me, Secretary of Energy from before. Sir, could you call up, of all people, President Zelensky? And I called him. I actually held off. He must have come 10 times. Please, sir. It's because they wanted to do business or something, oil and gas. Who the hell knows what they wanted? You can imagine what they wanted, but they wanted, would you call up President Zelensky? And I did. When I finally got him, I said, congratulations on your win. He had just won. This is early in the process. Should have never been, that war should have never taken place, by the way. If the election weren't rigged, that war would never be happening right now. Millions of people being killed. That war would never be happening. But would you call up? So I say, hello, President. How are we doing? Everything good? Good. Congratulations on your big victory. Wonderful job. Great, great, great. Hang up. That's it. I get indicted for making a phone call. I told that secretary, who wasn't the smartest bulb. He wasn't Rick Perry. You don't want him on your debate team. Let me put it that way. Rick, you're not going to be on my debate team, Rick. But he's the one that asked me to do it, Rick Perry. And I said, thanks, Rick. That was a wonderful suggestion. I just got indicted over your stupid call. This is what we have to put up with, right? This is what we have to do. We have to put up with things. But it's been an amazing period of time, and we've straightened out so many bad things in this country. I created a Presidential Commission on Religious Liberty and established a Department of Justice task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias, because you have a very big anti-Christian bias that you don't think about and you don't hear about it. I established the White House Faith Office to defend and represent people of all faiths, and it's located in the White House. You've never had an office. We've never had that. And Jenny and Paul are there all the time, but we have it in the White House, so people can call up and complain, or they can call up and say, you're doing a great job, whatever. But we have it actually in the White House. Nobody's ever done that. We've restored the fundamental principle that God created 2 genders, male and female. That was a tough one. That was it. And we're defending parents' rights, where the parents' rights have been taken away from them in schools. You look at some of these school boards, it's like they're brutal dictatorships, and we brought it all back. The parents have the control now. And last Monday, we effectively eliminated the infamous, as I said, Johnson Amendment, such a big deal, and various other amendments and things that really took away your free speech. That's what they've done. They've taken away free speech. I also want to recognize the incredible contribution of our great First Lady, Melania, and she says hello. And Melania did the Be Best initiative in supporting children in our foster care system. She visits a lot of children, a lot. Yesterday we went to the soccer game. I don't know if you saw it in the Meadowlands. It was incredible. And she's always thinking about the children that have a hard time, and helping America's young people reach their fullest potential. And it's remarkable to think that it was only 1 year ago this week that my time on earth nearly ended. And if you look at that, God was with me, because that's something that, in theory, I should not be with you today. Well, I believe that, and I believe it, that my life was saved by God to really make America great again. I really believe that. I think I have a son. He's a great shooter, like a championship shooter. Don and Eric was a great shooter, both of them. But they said that at that distance with that gun, you didn't have a chance. And we turned the head at the right time, didn't we? Huh? We turned the head at the right time. So I don't know. Some people say it was lucky, and some people say something else. I say something else. I think God helped us.
All right, I am back. I heard you could listen to the video. It's nice. Trump describing the incident what almost ended his life at Butler, PA, where he almost got shot in the head. But God or something intervened and made sure that the bullet only grazed him. And in my opinion, it won him the presidency. Seeing a politician dodging bullets in front of a video camera, it was like a real life movie, an action scene. Like, how would a president or politician act in the face of danger? My phone is ringing, so let's ignore it. All right, ignored it is. So yeah, so Trump dodging bullets, man. It was the best movie, real life action movie ever. Let's just finish this up. Let's see.
So I always believed in giving back to this nation, a nation that we love so much. And I know that everyone lives by that same sacred principle. The people in this room do, I can tell you. I hate when I see complainers, people that complain and they don't do anything about it. Like in many cases, the media, not all of the media. I must add something because we won in a landslide. Think of it, we won every swing state. We won by millions of votes. We won the popular vote. We won there's a district vote that's very interesting. It's where the whole map looks red for.
It's funny that the fake news media, they try to take away from Trump by saying it was only by 0.7%. It was only by 0.5%. It was only he won. How about that? They try to minimize everything this guy's doing.
Republican, by the way. But the whole map came out, I think it was 2,750 to 505. Think of that. That's broken into little districts, little areas. We had an unbelievable election. And so I don't know, somebody said, yeah, how do you win without the press? But we have a hidden press. And the real hidden press and the hidden vote is the people and the word of mouth. Word of mouth is more important than the press.
Yes. And thank God today we got social media. So you hear people speaking the truth, telling you guys their opinion, which is way more honest than the fake news media. Like, it becomes more apparent that the fake news media has a narrative, and all they want you to do is believe their narrative that makes no sense. Because at the end of the day, it's calling you stupid for believing them. Like, who believes such a stupid lie? Stop treating grown adults like children. And more people got to walk away from the Democratic Party, especially if you're Black, Indian. If you're non-white, you need to walk away from the Democratic Party. And that's it. All right? Walk away, go anywhere. But just don't stay with the Democratic Party. Who had a politician saying, watch, I'm going to get the Blacks to vote Democrat for the next 200 years. And it's actually working. And not only that, but a lot of people hear that message and they don't seem to wake up and realize that it's all a hidden game plan to keep us voting for that party with fear and a broken culture. A little bit more than that, but those are the two main things that they're doing. A destructive culture that shows us that bad is good, and that continue to do bad, you're doing great, when in reality, you're not.
And they see what we do and they see how we do it. I want to thank all of you and your great communities. And, it's a blessing to our country that you're here. and a blessing to our country that you become so successful and so great. And people look up to you, have no idea. You don't know. We take things for granted. You don't know. The people in this room are amazing. I even, looking at that list, I really said, that's something. That's something great. And you're all believers. I think, Paula, you wouldn't have invited people that were not a lot of, is there an atheist in the room? Any atheists? I don't think so. I wouldn't want
Who's gonna raise their hands in a room full of religious people? Yeah, just the fact that he's asking that question is funny.
to raise my hand if I were. You'd be in big trouble. No, you invited all people that are outstanding in faith and success. And it's a very noble group, but it's because of the patriotism and goodwill of citizens like you that America remains strong and faithful and free. And together we're going to continue the fight for Judeo-Christian values of our founding fathers. We'll grow our economy. We'll defend our sovereignty. We'll protect our children. When you look at the job we did, I was just thinking because President Putin said it to me and other leaders said it to me. When they looked at those B-2s go in, and think of it, they flew for 37 hours straight. We had 52 tankers, the gasoline tankers, and they rode along with them at different aspects, and they refueled. And not a screw was broken, not a mark was on those planes. Every engine was perfect. When they landed, they were just as good as when they took off. Think of that, 37 hours and about 40 minutes through a very rough territory. And those machines worked incredibly well and literally not a problem. And when I honored the flyers, we did it last week, I also honored the mechanics, the people that took care of those machines. And I said it's equally important. And you compare that same country, you compare that with what happened with Jimmy Carter. It was a sad.
All right, let me pause it right there. So Donald Trump just giving out stories of those amazing planes that went to Iran to throw those bunker busters. Man, this man is breaking all the rules, doing everything his way, and is working. All right, I just turned off the light. Let me see. So this is my first stream with Odechi, me and Noel and Odechi, my co-host. Yes, I got a co-host, and that's how you begin greatness. At least she's in the background. Hopefully one day she'll come to the foreground. So like that, you could take a look. Our very own in-house model, Odechi. My name is Noel. Just streaming to you guys the words of our great president who's making sure we bring in the golden years, the Trump golden years. And a lot of people are not going to say it, afraid to say it, but I'm going to say it. These are the golden years. All right. So now we got a new channel, Noel and Odechi, unfiltered. Give it a thumbs up. They try to get the word out to more and more people. And you heard the man. All you got to do is fight with hope and not give up. So we're not going to give up. I'm going to try to stream every day around this time, 12 o'clock. It's going to be our streaming time where me and Odechi are going to sit here and answer any questions. All right. Bring in the news and bring in more video streams so that you could get informed and know what's going on. As you can see, that was President Trump at the, what is it called? The Faith Luncheon. Yes, the Faith Office Luncheon. Here I am battling MS personally. Everybody got their own issues. Everybody got to fight. All right. How are you doing it? How am I doing it? We're just getting it done, putting our head down and pushing forward. I'm going to go now. I'm going to go cook and try to move her over. Let's see if we can get Odechi to wave goodbye. Oh, de voy a darle así con la mano. Ya que voy a trancar el show. All right. She said goodbye. She actually said Lupa, bye. At least she said something. So if you heard what she said, congratulations. We're going to get her to talk. All right. Now we have a goal for the summer. We are in July. If I get her on here by August, woo, part 1 mission accomplished. Before you know it, she'll be over here talking to you guys. She is great. And I'm going to use her face as the picture of the thumbnail. Get people, more and more people to get to know who she is. But stop being like that, dile bye-bye. She doesn't even speak English. So let me just speak her language. Di bye-bye, Odechi. All right. You know, when you're that big, you don't even answer any questions. Let me get out of here. Again, this is Noel here from PA, streaming live from my house. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Enough to give this video a thumbs up. Give it a like, and hopefully we'll get your attention for the next show. This is Noel and Odechi saying goodbye. Should I let it stream while I take a step? Let me see. Actually, I've been streaming for an hour. My dogs are barking. See you on the next video. See you on the next video. Peace. I'm out.